Hello, hello. How are you? I'm Gina and I'm so happy that you're here to join me today. I just posted a video where we created these trees and it was about creating, do it yourself, creating your own embellishments, and we focused on trees. And I thought they turned out really cute, and I'll put a link to that video in the description and at the end of this video. But in that video, I discussed that I would make a separate video on how I painted these. As you can see, these are, I don't know, a little cartoony is the word, but I just did it with pen and they're very cute. But as you can tell, when I painted these with acrylic, there's a lot more realism involved here, right? So it just depends on what you're making. You may want to step it up a little bit and have something that looks a little more realistic. And I had said I was going to do that in a separate video, and here it is. So we're going to ignore these, and we are going to focus on how I painted these with acrylic paints to add a little more realism. All right, you ready? Let's go. Okay, here are the paints we're going to use today. We have Apple Barrel Black, Folk Art Sap Green, Apple Barrel Sage Green, Americana Forest Green, and Apple Barrel Kelly Green. You don't need all those greens. When I put the forest green down, I realized that it was very close to my sap green, and I thought, I might want something brighter. So you really only need 3 greens, a light, medium, and a dark. So that's kind of what we're doing here, because you want to be able to create depth, and you need a base general tone, which is your median tone, and then you want to add highlights with the lighter tone, and you want to add some depth with your darker tone. So pick 3 greens. I also did include a black to help make some of the green darker, as you can see on this one as compared to this one. This was just using the 3 greens, but when I added black, look at the depth it created. So black does help in this situation. All right, here's my little tree, and let's get started. As you can see, pick your just cruddiest looking paintbrush that you have, because don't throw these away. So yeah, this little brush has really been abused, but keep it, because brushes like this can be really useful. They're great for making branches and grass and bushes and trees. So keep a hold of those. I might start with the Kelly green. We'll see, that might be too bright, but we'll give it a go. And I'm just going to pounce it on. See, this is why you need a really, you want to start out with kind of your worst brush, because look at what you're doing to it. And you're not doing it any favors. Try not to destroy a brand new brush. Pick an old one. It's funny, I started in acrylic paint, but I just was never good at taking care of my brushes, as you can see. But when I do watercolor, it's weird. I treat them completely different. Those are like my little babies, and they're not super expensive. I mean, they're no more expensive than my acrylic paint brushes. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. Weird. Okay. So there we go. So this is what we've got. I'll try to pick that up. There. Okay. And, you can see, especially when you move it, you can kind of see if there's any places that you missed. And there usually are. There's some of these little bitty corners. So we go back over that. Okay. All right. Now, I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm not going to wait for it to dry. I'm just going to keep going. So now I think I want to go to a darker tone. Let me see, what does this look like? What does this look like? They're pretty close. I think I'm going to go to this one. Okay, and I'm just going to start laying in some dark. Now, if you look at a tree, a lot of times the darker areas are where the branches lay down. So you have a branch coming down, so it's naturally going to be a little darker underneath it. So those are kind of the areas I'm going to focus on first. Remember, this is just kind of a quick tutorial, you know, a quick way to do it. It's not going to look like, oh my gosh, people are going to confuse it with a real tree. No, I mean, you know, we're kind of not going into it like that. But, you know, it will just give it a little bit more realism. Okay. We've gotten underneath. Now there are also trees coming at you, right? So you're going to have to add some dark spots in the middle. We'll put some around. Okay. There we go. Let me show you. And here's what we have right now. And look, I still miss the top. Isn't that crazy? And it's probably not a bad time to go ahead and get the sides. I mean, I guess, you know, you could go back over them with a marker. But since we're already into the paint, let's just go ahead and get those, because that bothers me. I don't know about you. The white sides. Oh no, oh no, oh no, what have I done? Eek. Well, no biggie, we'll just scrape it off. And the reason it's not a big deal, I mean, yeah, I would have preferred that not happen, but what I end up doing is going back and forth with the light and the medium and the dark, just until I get the look that I want. You know, it's not that big a deal because I'll be going over it probably, you know, 3 or 4 times anyway. I will wipe this off my brush because that was on there pretty thick. I might even could dab it. Oops. Dab it with my, there you go, and then we'll just work with the rest. Acrylic paint dries very quickly. As you can see, I pulled that a lot of that off with my paper towel and didn't really pull up what was underneath it because it had already dried. Yep, no worries, we'll just keep going. So now I've got some, you know, really dark shades. And you know what? I might as well just go through and make it match. And that's what you do sometimes when you have like a boo-boo. You just kind of go with it. You're like, well, all right, let's just make the rest look like that. And then people will think I meant to do that. At least you hope that's what they think. Okay, so that's pretty dark. I am going to rinse out my brush this time. It was getting kind of gloppy. Now I'm going to go in with my light, and look, I always make such a mess. I'm going to go in with the sage green. And everything is still wet, but that's okay. And here's where I'm going to try to define where some of my branches are. Because it's hitting, the light's hitting it, and you're able to see, you know, a little more detail about the form, you know, how the tree is formed. And again, I'm just, you know, I'm just plopping paint down, pounding paint. I hope that's not shaking the camera. Oh, speaking of shaky camera, if you watched my video where I made the trees, there's a part I had to completely remove because I don't know what was going on with my camera, but the picture was moving like this. I was like, oh my gosh. If I didn't want everyone to get seasick, yeah, I just had to remove it. It was, I don't know what that was about. The whole video, I was kind of having some technical difficulties throughout, so I'm not sure what's up. I don't know if I've accidentally changed a setting. I don't know or what, so I'm hoping this one's going to turn out better. I hope. Okay, so there we go. Let me pull that up so you can see it. There you go. Now, you know, it's fine, but it's just too much light for me. So it's, you know, we laid a layer down, and now we're going to go back. Like I said, I just kind of keep going back and forth. You know, it looks like we might have lost our mid-tone. You don't want to do that. Remember, we had that big blob. So I think we pretty much lost our mid-tone. So we're going to add some of that back in. Because that's the thing. Trees, you know, well, really nothing, especially in nature, is just one tone. You know, same thing with snow. Snow's not white. I mean, it looks white probably compared to everything else, you know, that's around it. But it's really not white. There's little bits of color. Pound, pound, pound. Okay. All right, so that's, oops, get some down here. All right, that's not too bad. Now I want to go back in with my darker shade. Actually, I want to lighten up the ends just a little bit. Okay. Let's see. I brought this one out too because it's also a little bit gnarly, but it's slightly more narrow. So let me see. Stick that in the water. I might go in, I might go in with this dark and identify again my little areas that I want to make, you know, really dark. Okay. Okay, and this time I'm not really smashing really hard. I'm letting just the end, the very tip of my brush do all the work. It's almost like stippling, I guess. There we go. Especially, you know, you have the darker areas which are under the folds, but there's lots of little branches on top of it too, right? So, you know, you want to kind of account for those. And if you just use the tip of the brush with these crazy little, what do you call those? The crazy little, you know, fibers or whatever of the brush that are going like that, that really, really helps, you know, bring out the appearance of a bunch of different branches. Okay. All right. So that's not bad. Okay. Now I want to go back and add some highlight. And again, this time I'm just really going to let the bristles do the work. I'm not going to pound so much. And I'm going to probably stay away from the darker areas and really focus on those medium tones. You don't want to completely cover the medium tone, but you want to use that as a guide of where, you know, maybe the light is hitting the branch. And just, you know, hit different little parts of it. You know, and you basically just kind of keep going back and forth with your lights, your mediums, your darks, until you get the look that you want. So don't worry if you go in, you're like, oh, that's too, you know, just fix it. Just put something else over it. Another thing that's nice about not waiting for it to dry with each layer is that it allows the paint, the different colors to mix, which creates a different color. So you're not using just 3 colors or just 4 colors. You're using a lot more colors than that because they're mixing on the surface. All right, you know what? I think I'm happy with that. I think I'm happy with that. Let's take a look. Let me bring that up so you can see. Well, what do you think? I think I like it. Now, let's go in and add some black. We're not quite done. I'm going to go over here and pull just a little bit of my black, and I'll probably go ahead and mix it with some of the green, just so it's not just straight black. So we're going to make a super dark green. Okay, look good now. So now we're going to focus on the very darkest parts. Okay, and again, we're just going to let the bristles do the work and just kind of stipple it in. Just hit those very darkest parts. Remember, if you don't like something you did, just go back with a different color and fix it. Not a big deal. Okay, let's see what we've got. For me anyway, it is helpful to pick it up because when you're like this, it's just, I don't know, it blends into me. Maybe I need a stronger pair of magnifiers, I'm not sure. That's entirely possible. Let's see, I'm going to try to lighten up this dark spot just a little bit. Just spread it around. I'll take maybe a little bit of that medium green. Just a little bit. Just kind of maybe go in on top. Alright, what do we think? I feel like hold on, I like this side better than this side. And I think the darkness, I use the dark color a little bit better on this side. You see why I made this its own tutorial? Listen, if I can do this, you can do this. I am not a professional painter, but not by any means. I was really getting into it at first. This is how I started my art journey, as in acrylic paints, but you know, since I have moved on to mixed media and just so many other forms of, you know, of art, I really haven't painted in a long time, so you know, I've had to kind of reacclimate myself. It's true about anything. If you don't use it, you lose it. And you know, that's how I felt with acrylic paint. But then again, like riding a bike, once you learn, you know, it might take you a little bit to get back into it, but things, you know, things do kind of come back. You have muscle memories, which help. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to leave it just like that. Let me pull it up so you can see. It's probably easier with the white background. Okay. I don't think anybody's going to confuse it for, you know, like a real tree, but you have to admit, if these are your choices, you know, look at the difference. You know, again, depends on what it is you're creating, what your project is. Now I'm going to go in and do the stump. I'm using just a regular brush for this since it's such a small area. And just going to use some brown, and this is Folk Art Bark Brown. Not dark brown, but bark brown. So it's the perfect color for what I'm doing. Okay. And again, just little short strokes. We certainly don't want it to be smooth. Bark is not smooth most of the time. So, there we go. A little bit more down here. Okay. I'm even going to take some, put some dark brown right here. Pull a little bit of black. Mix that together. Okay, there's usually a shadow right underneath the last branch, so we can make it a little bit darker there. And there you go. Oops. Again, those edges. Okay. All this is dry already. So, let's see. That's what we have. Actually, you know what? Look. Eek! I don't want that. So I added a little bit of water to that brown and black mixture that I made. I'm going to get the edges. It looks like there's some of the green edges missing too. So I'm going to go in with a dark green. Again, I'm going to add a little bit of water. Get those edges. Okay. All right, there is our little tree painted with acrylic paint. Just easy. You're just really just kind of pouncing your brush. So anybody can do this. I really encourage you to give it a try. You know, if it's not to your liking, try again. This is just paint, so it's not a big deal. Just try. The more you do it, the better you'll get. So I hope you found this inspirational, instructional, and I really, really hope you give it a try. So if you post it, please include me, hashtag the Artful Addict. I would just love to see what you come up with. I'm sure there are so many of you out there that will just do amazing, fabulous things and teach me a thing or two. So I would appreciate that. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, give me that thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you like. And go out there and paint yourself a tree. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.